Welcome back. This is Gregory Higgins, and you are turned on and into the 12th episode of Fak'd TV News, the only place where you can find the only real fake news that matters. And with us today is my anchorman,
Jeff Semperbond here, bringing you stories on the Putin election, the proposed Trump-Kim meeting, how aliens are targeting the Clintons, and how this year's April Fool's Easter Day is not a joke.
Later on in our show, we'll be having a visit from the Easter Bunny, but I also have stories on how we can now execute drug dealers, stop children from doing drugs, and how bestiality stole the Oscar. But till then, Jeff can open us up with a first story on how to fix global warming.
While the EPA, under current director Scott Pruitt, has been criticized for ignoring the threat of global climate change, the agency has now released a newly devised plan for reducing global warming that is currently under consideration. The new plan is to encourage the inhabitants of the Earth to raise as much dust, smoke, and other particulate matter into the upper atmosphere as possible in order to create a global haze of air pollution that will reflect incoming sunlight before it reaches the Earth's surface. Similar to the Cold War fears of a nuclear winter, this protective haze should reduce the warming effects of the sun's rays so much the planet's temperature could drop by as much as 10 degrees or more. In addition to repealing restrictions on particle-producing activities such as open burning and using poorly filtered diesel power, the plan suggests tax incentives for activities that increase the amount of airborne particles. The government would provide tax breaks for those driving dirty diesel vehicles, burning brush in open pits, raising dust by driving at high speeds on dirt roads, and similar all-American activities that help to lift particulates into the atmosphere. While some agricultural lobbyists have complained that such tax incentives are unlikely to compensate for a predicted drop in production due to lower levels of sunlight, the Trump administration suggests that agricultural production could be moved inside through the use of hydroponic farming techniques, with pumps and artificial lighting powered by clean coal burning and nuclear power plants.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. It sounds like a great way to lower the temperature of the Earth's atmosphere.
It may be harder to breathe, but it will be cooler.
Now for our next story, new technology for winter clothes has and is being developed. There's a new cold weather coat being experimented with that heats itself and automatically adjusts itself to your body temperature. Unlike previous heated socks and similar garments that have required bulky and expensive batteries, these new coats use batteries that charge inductively without wires. So far in preliminary testing, the coat has been working quite fine except for a few quirks. It has been reported that a few people riding in subways, electric commuter trains, and city buses have had an unpleasant experience of having their coats suddenly overheat. In one case, causing the coat to catch fire and the wearer's head to explode. The manufacturer is currently, no pun intended, in the process of working out the bugs. It is suspected that the inductive charging circuit of the self-heating coats are tapping into the electrical power source that propels the train and overloading the heating elements, causing the zippers to fuse shut, preventing the wearer from removing the coat, and heating the unit increases temperatures to over 300 degrees, well above the boiling point of the wearer's bodily fluid. For now, the developer is confirming further tests to those who use only gas-fueled transportation and has seen no similar incidents.
Well, that sounds like it would work quite well with the EPA's plan. People use dirty diesel-powered fuel, and as the temperatures fall, they've got self-heated coats to keep them warm.
That would
It all works
like a
out.
great idea, Jeff. It all falls into place. Thank you, Vernick. I know you got our next story here.
Yes, several countries have found a workaround to President Trump's new tariffs on aluminum. This approach was uncovered after a survey of aluminum exporting countries that might be affected by the stiff new tariff found that the United Kingdom showed a notable lack of any aluminum production or exports. Upon further investigation, it was found that this is due to their population's inability to speak the American language correctly, which results in them producing a similar product called aluminium. Since the tariff specifies aluminum, it was found that aluminium is not subject to the tariff. Accordingly, several countries have announced their plans to shift a portion of their current aluminum production to producing aluminium instead, with this material specifically intended for export to these ununited states.
I guess it's lucky for the English that they can't speak English.
Or more importantly, can't speak American.
Oh, okay. I guess there's a little bit of a difference. Anyway, for our next story, this year the Academy Awards has reached a new all-time low. Knowing what is considered art and what is art can be a major question to most interested and inquisitive observers. Throughout history, up to the year 2018, bestiality has been seen to normal people as being a disgusting act of a disturbed person. In The Beauty and the Beast at least turned human before any physical romance occurred. But now, the Academy Awards has changed the historic view of bestiality and considers it to be an art form. So for you actors out there who are trying to leave your mark on the Oscar stage, it may be a good idea for you to now start practicing on how to enthusiastically make love to a fish lizard today.
Does not sound appealing.
Well, I guess a lot of people it does. They won an Oscar with that.
Apparently so.
I don't mix with those people.
And in a related story, we have received a statement from the Amphibian American Appreciation Association condemning the motion picture industry and specifically writer-director Guillermo del Toro for what they describe as whitewashing the Black Lagoon. The AAAA complains that roles that are clearly written for amphibians are being taken by white actors such as Doug Jones. This has been a long complaint of the AAAA, which first protested the casting of white actor Rico Browning and Polynesian actor Ben Chapman to portray the title character of the Creature from the Black Lagoon films in the 1950s. In the years following that protest, Hollywood has offered few scripts with roles for amphibian Americans, and the AAA questions whether this lack of amphibian characters was in retaliation for their protest. Their current statement specifically condemns writer-director Del Toro for exploiting amphibian American stereotypes in his movies Hellboy and The Shape of Water, while casting white actor Doug Jones to portray the amphibian characters instead of hiring real amphibian actors. There are very few roles written for amphibians, so when someone like Mr. Del Toro does write one, it's like a slap in the face when he casts some white actor dressed in fish face to play the part, the statement says. It also notes that the films perpetuate negative stereotypes of amphibians, such as poor language skills and a propensity towards violence and promiscuity. The AAAA statement says that they complained to Del Toro after Hellboy, but his response was sarcastic and that he treated their concerns as a joke. The AAAA says that this unfair discrimination has been an ongoing problem and that in awarding The Shape of Water the Best Picture Oscar, the Motion Picture Academy is continuing to ignore the contributions of amphibian Americans in our society and is treating them as if they don't even exist.
Those poor amphibians.
I think they're just trying to raise awareness and be recognized for their contributions like every other American.
I used to keep them in a terrarium when I was a child. They got out and they got bigger, I guess. They wound up in the movies. It's very interesting. And now, a study performed in the Roman Catholic churches across the country in the last year, and it has become evident that there has been a steep decline in parishioners participating in confession. After much discussion by the bishops of the Catholic Church and efforts to obtain divine guidance on this issue, a new idea has been put into effect to increase the participation in confessions. In order to save parishioners from a life of sin and ending up in spending eternity in hell. The enlightened idea, arrived after many hours of bishops joined together in prayer and meditation, has been to equip the inside of the confessionals with bar well stocked with Irish whiskey and Guinness on tap. For the Irish Catholics, vodka for the Polish Catholics, and a selection of red and white wines for the Italian Catholics. All involved are enjoying the change and noted that it is working much better than expected. Not only is it drawing more parishioners into the confession booth, but it is also encouraging them to be more truthful when relating their sins. The bishops all agree and are excited with the change that has been put into effect, saying that it is proven the Latin adage in vino veritas. In a recent statement, the bishops relate their hope that this initiative will help to save many more Catholic parishioners from a life of sin and an afterlife of hell and damnation.
And if they drink enough, they may end up having more things to confess.
They're already in it. Maybe damnation, but hopefully not. Now, Jeff.
In other Catholic news, the Roman Catholic Church has issued advice to American Catholics, strongly recommending that they refrain from any efforts to combine the holiday of Easter with April Fool's Day, since Easter this year falls on April 1st. The advice has been issued to lay people to avoid gags suggested on social media, such as exploding Easter eggs, or chocolate bunnies with electronic devices inside that scream when the bunny is bitten in two. Warning is even stricter for its cautions to priests, deacons, and altar servers to avoid rumored jokes such as showing up for Mass dressed up and acting like Jesus just returning from the dead, or replacing the communion wine with vinegar, or lacing the communion wafers with spicy horseradish. The Church hopes that despite the date, all parishioners will treat the holiday with solemn and dignified respect.
I like that. Lay people on Easter biting bunnies. That's what they do on Easter. They bite bunnies. Speaking of bunnies, I have a bunny coming in to see us. Some of our viewers may have heard the rumors that the Easter Bunny has quit, and we are here to inform you that sadly enough, this is not an April Fool's joke. We're going right to the source, and the bunny's here with us for an exclusive interview. Thank you, Bunny, for this chance to welcome you to our show.
Thank you, Gregory. I'm glad to be here. I have the ability to explain the decision to quit and why I can't continue to serve the public under my current working conditions.
Well, this is very disturbing. I'm sorry to have to hear this from you, Bunny. Please let us and the public hear what those difficult conditions are.
It's just become too much for any one bunny, even a mythical bunny with magical powers, to handle distributing the eggs to all the children. Used to be hard enough when I could put all my eggs in one basket. It was manageable. But now the organization and record keeping is ridiculous. I have to have separate baskets for vegan children and lactose intolerant children and children who need candy that's gluten-free and children who can't get candy produced in a factory that also handles nuts.
Factory that can't handle nuts.
That's right. Factory that can't handle nuts. And now there are paleo diet children whose parents want candy eggs made only from fish, chicken, and vegetables. And even Atkins diet children who are supposed to get candy made from only meat. It's just gotten ridiculous.
You're right, that does sound ridiculous, Bunny.
And with every new health condition and fad diet, parents want some special requests for their children. It's not like the old days where everyone got the same candy and none of the children were allergic to it and they could digest it properly.
Couldn't digest it properly.
That's right, digest it properly. And now even worry themselves to tears that some poor enslaved cow had to suffer to provide milk for the chocolate. In the past, if they didn't like what they got, it was just too bad. They just had to deal with it. They didn't have their parents demand some special treatment for their little prince or princesses.
That does sound very difficult to handle.
It is. It's just too much for one bunny to handle. Maybe if they hired drone-operated bunnies, each designated to a group of children with similar dietary demands, it could be possible. But until that happens, I just can't do it.
Well, I'm sure I speak for all our viewers in expressing how sad we are to hear that, and we appreciate your willingness to speak out on this issue, Bunny.
It is sad, but I don't know what else to do, Gregory. I also just got so stressed out that my whiskers got all twisted out of shape from this St. Patrick's Day, having to fight off those grubby little finger of all those damn little leprechauns, trying to lead me off somewhere to a pot of gold somewhere. Yeah, it's just so sad and disgusting. It used to be that Easter was about praising Jesus from rising from the dead. I just don't know why they had to get me involved in this mess.
There you have it, viewers. The facts straight from the bunny's mouth. I don't know what to tell you, parents out there, except please be sympathetic to the worries and woes of the Easter bunny. She's doing the best she can, so please help her out and do the best you can.
Oh, that was very sad to hear.
Yeah, it was.
We've reported here before on evidence indicating that the Trump campaign and then administration have been receiving assistance from extraterrestrials who interfered in the election and helped Trump to win. Now we have a report from India that suggests that alien interference with the Clintons has continued even after the election. Our exclusive, unnamed source reports an increase in UFO activity in the Indian city of Jodhpur shortly before Hillary Clinton arrived at a local hospital, apparently having injured her wrist in a suspicious fall. Our source states that a number of very short, shrouded figures were seen leaving the luxury Umaid Bhawan Palace Hotel just after the time that the fall is believed to have occurred. This raises suspicions that aliens may have used some sort of disorientation ray on Secretary Clinton, similar to the one believed to have been used to cause her to lose her balance and visibly stumble while campaigning. A top UFO expert that Fak'd News consulted says that such a device is entirely consistent with alien technology, as extraterrestrials are believed to have developed a number of mind-altering weapons that impair human brain functions without leaving any trace. This expert mentioned a sort of amnesia ray that causes the victim to forget what they've experienced. She believes that the aliens have used this device to prevent the Clintons from remembering any encounters with aliens, and this is the reason why space aliens remain one of the few people that Secretary Clinton has not blamed for her loss in the 2016 election. Fak'd TV News has reached out to the Secret Service, which is tasked with protecting past presidents and their close family, and the service refused to either confirm or deny any alien involvement with Secretary Clinton's injury. Typical of them.
Mm-hmm. We should be reaching out to aliens for a place in India. I mean, she can run for office in India since she can't make it in the United States. I mean, you know. Anyway, the White House is now on its way to implementing the death penalty for major drug traffickers as part of the opioid crackdown in the United States. The Department of Justice will be seeking the death penalty against drug traffickers when and after the new laws have been drafted. This is being done in an effort to completely eradicate illicit drug dealers and violent drug trafficking gangs from the country. The current White House administration has agreed overwhelmingly that execution of the evil suspects is the only way to clean this country of crime and degradation, following the example set by Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte, who Trump has often praised for his strong leadership. The administration says that its proposed new laws are needed to make a show of force that will unmistakably exhibit the seriousness of their intentions. It has been decided that in order to project a clear show of force to deter drug traffickers, the government will be bringing back public executions. The idea that the additional funds can be raised by broadcasting executions on pay-per-view cable TV. It was agreed that it made no sense to pass up on an opportunity to raise funds that will be designated toward decreasing our national debt. It's been discussed that they could make a real show out of this with professional entertainment and big-name musical acts. The proposal takes advantage of the current president's record of success in reality TV and is expected to bring back entertainment the way it was done back in the good old days. Worldwide televised executions featuring gladiators and man-eating lions are now being considered, although this may be a little bit too gory to pass through basic letter designated television ratings. An idea of adding numbers to the rating categories of the current TV rating scale is being seriously talked about. We'll keep our viewers updated on any developments on these new exciting plans.
Yeah. If NFL has to shut down for fear of concussions, this could be a great replacement.
That'll do it. That's for sure.
Even more violence.
You got some more Russian news. They're always in the news, aren't they, Jeff?
Well, the issue of whether or not the Trump campaign colluded with Russia in the 2016 election remains hotly debated. Fak'd TV News has received reports on another political campaign where Russian involvement is strongly indicated. Just recently, President Vladimir Putin was reelected to an unprecedented fourth term of office, and we have received credible evidence that his campaign colluded with Russia to win the election. Fak'd's foreign affairs correspondent reached out to the Russian embassy for comment on these reports, and the representative stated that there was no collusion. Putin had no rivals left alive or free from prison to compete against him, and that any rumors of such collusion were an effort by the West to discredit Russia's devotion to fair and democratic elections throughout the world. I don't believe them. I think there was collusion.
It's a possibility. It's a very definite possibility. The Russians that colluded with the Russians for elections. Yeah, that would make sense. Anyway, our next story is about crazed autocrats. In a recent study by Berkeley University, it has been proven that when crazed autocratic leaders of opposing countries get together to discuss their country's conflicting demands, they actually find out that they have so much more in common than imagined. In many cases, they wind up extinguishing all thoughts of war and differences, and they compare notes on how to most effectively keep their country in a stranglehold of fear and oppression. While they maintain an outward posture of being bitter enemies, they often end up being best friends behind closed doors who enjoy partying and laughing as they tell tales of firing party officials, executions of opponents, and growing fat off the labor of their nation's impoverished workers. Then afterwards, they may sample the same numerous porn star type women together and then judge them on their sexual pleasuring capabilities. I like to end the story on the capabilities like that.
Ending on a positive note, as it were. Similarly, since the announcement of President Trump's plan to meet with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, there's been much speculation about the purpose of the meeting, since both sides agree the meeting is not expected to be a formal negotiation regarding North Korea's nuclear weaponry. A memo leaked to Fak'd TV News from an unnamed White House source reveals details of the meeting agenda to help solve this mystery. According to a list of proposed questions, it appears that President Trump intends to get insight on stronger leadership from Kim, including how to discourage media opposition and how to encourage greater loyalty in one's subordinates and in the population in general. In return, Trump is prepared to provide Kim with basic instruction in understanding humor and how it can be used effectively in public relations. It appears that both sides have something to gain in this meeting, and we can hope that the insights gained on both sides will help each leader to be more effective in bringing greater strength and harmony to their respective countries.
Strength and harmony, that's what it's all about. Strength and harmony. And for our next story...
If there's no dissent, then there's harmony.
You got it. In an attempt to stem the tide of drug-addicted American citizens and children trying drugs, children's cartoons will now be including and implementing drug-addicted characters in an attempt to show children the serious risks and dangers associated with drug addiction. Sesame Street is in the process of introducing a new drug-addicted character, Oxy Monster, who is expected to overdose on every episode, causing great problems for others. It is hoped that showing the selfish obsession of a character for obtaining her fix at all costs and the resulting damage due to Oxy's health and relationships with others will show young viewers the seriousness and pain of drug addiction. Inflicting a serious fear in prepubescent children is believed to be the only way to clean up this country for our future generations. And that's it. This is Gregory Higgins, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch our news tonight. So for all you viewers out there, men and women and children of all sizes, color, and ethnicities, when the stories are too good to wait for the truth, we here at Fak'd TV News bring you the news as we see fit. And Jeff, could you say goodbye to our television viewers?
Good night, viewers everywhere.
And Buddy, could you come over here and say goodnight to our viewers?
Good night, everybody. And please be kind to the Easter Bunny when he shows up.
And share and like us on Facebook every chance you get. Thank you. Thank you, Buddy.